That's awesome. We got a
Good.
bunch of people waiting, actually. I'm going to let them in. 10 people in the waiting
Why?
room.
Man, it's picking up steam again, huh?
Yeah,
Who
I
we
think
got?
so.
Who we
I think it
got?
was your post that did it, to be honest.
No, we got Dids, we got Ed, of course, Matt.
Matt's here again. Good
Yeah.
to see you guys.
Good to see everyone.
No GM this time?
I can type GM in the chat if you want me to.
Go for it. Hey everyone. If you're here for the first time, you guys are muted and cameras are disabled because Boris and I are recording these meetings, and we're kind of still figuring out what we're going to do with them, how we're going to use them, where we're going to post them. So stay tuned, I would say. But if you have any questions for us, feel free to put your questions in the chat, and we'll be more than happy to take them. If it's whether it's Google Ads, digital marketing, life in general, whatever you have for us on this Friday afternoon.
All right. I was just slightly confused because I only saw your talking head and not the other attendants and not the chat. Just to get us started, I'm trying to upload a meme to the group chat. How's that work? Man, would you believe that I work in tech? That's incredible.
That's a really good question, and the answer is no.
No, absolutely. Stupid computer doesn't do what I want it to do.
That sounds a bit like my grandfather, who calls me and then says like, my computer doesn't do, he's got a will of his own, and I'm like, yeah, that's probably not the
That's
case.
probably not the case. Hey, I just uploaded a meme into the chat. I'm really proud of that one. I'm gonna post that one on LinkedIn on Monday.
Do that. I would say do that. What AR total credit? While we kick things off and people might still be putting their questions in the chat, I actually got one on LinkedIn, which I thought I'd share. It's kind of a technical question, but I thought let's get a simple one to kick things off. I realized my MCC level mobile apps placement exclusion isn't working for PMAX. Also, when I add mobile apps exclusion to PMAX campaigns individually, I get an error. I believe this used to work. Is there a workaround?
So by mobile app exclusions, that person means the placement mobile app category 695 something.
Yep, that's what I think.
So I was under the impression that that still works.
Mm-hmm.
I'm unsure actually. Now I gotta go in all the shitty PMAX accounts again and check.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
I think, I mean, you can still exclude all the mobile app placements, but I think or at least recently we did one where we just literally unchecked everything.
Okay.
But if you say that it still works, I'm gonna need to test that out.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. So So after this call, I'm probably gonna have to go into all my accounts that I'm auditing right now, and then I'll have to see if that actually still is the case or not.
Yeah, let's keep that for later. It was
I mean
a LinkedIn question.
that'd be such a rug pull again from Google's side, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
agreed.
I was super proud of that one, and like
at least Google AdSense without YouTube still works as as a placement exclusion. Like that is the most valuable exclusion ever. If you run YouTube, like that's just so good.
Yeah. Oh, while we're at it, I've just been forced into the new design over and over again on many accounts. How'd you like it so far?
let's just leave it at that.
Okay.
No, I think it's because you can still use the old appearance, but every time I go into a new account or another account in our MCC, it's the new one, and I think they're just trying to wear you out, where it's like you're like, oh, I just need to check one little thing. I'll keep the new one.
Yeah. They just, I don't know. They just force you into submission, I guess. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, so I've been trying to like I've avoided the new interface like the plague. And
Same.
I can't find jack shit. Like I can't find placements. I can't find nothing. It's unreal.
No, it's
like
unreal.
stuff that used to take me like a minute or two. Like I'm clicking around the interface like 5 minutes before I just give up and revert back to the old design. But that can't be it, right? I mean,
but it's like very, very weird. All of a sudden, like where they put everything in the menu.
Yeah.
Got a question here from Lee Jun.
Okay.
Hi, I have a problem with the conversion tracking. I set up this purchase conversion tracking in Google Ads, but now it shows inactive. So how could I troubleshoot it without actually making a purchase on the internet?
Usually, I mean, depends on the shop system that you're using.
Yeah.
Essentially, if you don't want to do like a real purchase, then you can just like have the client or whoever is managing the backend have him set up like a voucher code for 100% or something, or you know, or even like an item that's not publicly available that you can purchase then for no cost, and then see like, you know, go through debug mode in GTM, and then, you know, add to cart and do the normal conversion. I think that'd be the way I'd go about it.
Yeah, exactly. A test item or a test purchase item.
Something like that.
Me too. Also, if you just like an hour ago set it up, like give it some time. It needs to see a conversion come in before it will actually get to active. So if you've just set it up, give it some time, and then if it still shows inactive, then there's probably a problem, and you'll have to make a test purchase to see where it goes wrong.
Absolutely.
We're actually 16 participants today. Nice.
That's great.
Yeah. Got a question here from Mohammed. I've set up 2 PPC campaigns for the clothing business. Target location is US and UK. After 15 days, I have converted 1,000 GBP into 8,000 GBP. But now click-through rate is 12%, but conversion is 0. Then matrix 3 ROI. I'm not sure what that means. What changes should I be making? There's a bunch of context missing here, right? Mohammed, if you could put it in the chat. First of all, is it a shopping campaign, a search campaign, a PMAX campaign? Was your brand excluded? Was your brand included? CTR is 12%, which is really, really high.
I'd wager it's not a shopping.
No, you're right. And made 3 ROI, not entirely sure. So your ROI now dropped to 3. It went from 8 to 3. Mohammed, if you could put some more context in the chat, because I don't think we have enough data or enough information to answer this question now.
So generally, so if I'm seeing this without further context, I'm just automatically going to assume that we're talking about a PMAX with brand included, and it just goes heavy after remarketing, and then it runs out of people it can remarket to, and then it plummets, and then it's probably going to pick up again at a later stage. Like depending on if it's a feed only or a full build, then, you know, it might be able to replenish the remarketing pool and then just go after these people again. Yeah,
but what about 12% CTR? That doesn't sound right for PMAX.
That's correct. Yeah, that's actually correct. I have no idea. But
he's gonna put some more info in here.
That would have been my first thoughts, basically.
Yeah, I mean, also CTR 12%. That sounds a lot like search for me, and might be brand as well. So we'll see what he puts in the chat.
Okay.
Question from Maria. What are the advantages of using PMAX versus a search campaign? Can you enumerate 2?
I mean, they're different things. So I wouldn't say they have inherently advantages or disadvantages. Just depends on the use case and what you're trying to achieve.
Yep.
I mean, the advantage of using PMAX clearly is that you don't have to set up all the individual campaign types, right? So a search, a DSA, a display, a YouTube, remarketing, shopping, whatever. Like that's all already inside of a PMAX campaign. So that's, I want to say, ease of use, or it's easier to set up, but it's also super easy to just, you know, set it up and then think Google is somehow gonna optimize it better. So it's a set it and forget it sort of situation, which it shouldn't be. And then you can burn a lot of money, as I've seen this week.
Yeah, I also just think having very clear understanding of where your ad budget is going to, like, you know exactly what placement you are going to be showing up in. Much better, as long as we still have them, much better keyword control. So those are the main 2 for me. I actually have a question for you based on this question. Which do you like better, keyword search, given the fact that match type is like watering down, or DSA?
I don't have a favorite. I don't think I have a favorite. We've talked about this before. So Broadmatch, for example, has a strong DSA.
True.
And what it increasingly started doing again is search using exact match and then like a DSA accompanying it. That's I think a pretty good compromise. So the DSA is going to mine for new keywords, and if they perform and if they pass a certain impression threshold, then I like to put them into the search campaign. So that's sort of a, one feeding the other. I like that one. But I like both. Like DSA works great. Search works great as well. Broad match can work great in certain situations. It all can work great. So I don't have like a clear favorite.
Yeah, I think for me, completely understand. I think for me, where I like DSA a lot is like multi-brand stores that have like 100 brands, and now you have to go find what works, and you just don't want to be building those RSAs like all of them. Where DSA is really strong, and then also that DSA is not held to the character limit, so you have more chance of catching the long-term search query clicks, I would say, just because people see like this very long headline that matches what they're searching.
Yeah.
Another question from Maria. I never set up PMAX yet for search. Can I set up a PMAX just for search? When setting up, I need to upload the keywords, right?
So that doesn't work. So you're talking about essentially just writing an ad inside of the PMAX, but once you start filling out the assets, then you're going to need to fill out all the assets. So you're going to, then it's going to prompt you to upload the video and the banners and of course the text ads. So that's not going to work. So if you just want to run search, then you have to opt for a normal search campaign or DSA.
Yeah, and you need to also like PMAX will take your logo from your account level and images from your website to build display ads if you put any headline in. So yeah, because I've been actually thinking about this as well myself. Like, could I hack PMAX to work like a DSA campaign if I don't have DSA? But just the fact that it takes the logo I think it doesn't work.
No. No.
Question from Mark. Hey, my second time here. Nice to have you back, Mark.
Okay.
I have a few questions related to PMAX. What are the main things you have to do in PMAX campaigns to get best results?
We have such a heavy PMAX themed show today, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing. I thought we were all over PMAX at this point, but no, here it comes again. It's good.
Yeah.
Great questions.
Yeah, it's good, but it's good. So Mark, I'm gonna assume for a second for your first question that we're talking about e-commerce. If you are in lead gen, don't use PMAX. That's my opinion, at least, and I think Boris agrees with me there. If you are in e-commerce, first of all, get the My Growth script on your account and see what kind of placements PMAX is showing your ads in, and if those are the placements you want to be in. If it's, for example, going to have heavy on search, try a feed-only PMAX. It still works. And other than that, it's very alike like shopping, except you can't really manage the search terms. So it's feed optimization. It is getting enough conversion volume, first of all, and then looking at your listing segments that are performing for you, finding that Pareto efficiency, like what 10% of products are giving me like 80% of my results. That's the first things that come to mind. Anything you want to add to that, Boris?
I mean, I've audited 3 new accounts this week that were all heavy on PMAX, and I can agree with everything you just said. Make sure that you exclude brand from your PMAX, or if you can, then set up an own brand campaign, because we don't want PMAX taking all the credit for brand. And if you're running lead gen, I also agree, best to stay away from PMAX. I've seen one this week where the client was super happy about the initial results, but it was all just engaged view conversions and brand. So there it is again. So yeah, just a couple other best practices for setting up PMAX is asset groups as they relate to your business goals or your categories. So really think of your product segments, which ones drive, the most profit or the highest margin. If your budget supports, then it's probably a good idea to put those in their own campaign, stuff like that. So, go from your desired outcome, see what sort of budget you have available, and then reverse engineer, the campaign structure, the PMAX structure that best suits your goal. I think I actually read an article this week. It must have been in Search Engine Land, from Navarre Hopkins. So I'll see if I can quickly dig it up and drop the link in the chat, because that was a very, very good summary of all the different ways you could be running PMAX in any given situation. I'll be right back with you guys.
Awesome.
Got it already.
Great.
I'll drop the link here.
It's going to be helpful for this next question as well, I think. There are the new thing called search themes. What are the best practices here? Should I provide best performing keywords from search? How to get most... Oh, no, that's the third question. My bad. So search themes.
So search themes, I think, are a glimpse into the future, first of all. So that's Google's way of telling us, hey, we live in this privacy-centric world now, and we're potentially not going to give you search query data as you're used to. I mean, we're already not getting all the search terms anyway, so a lot of them are hidden under other search terms. And I think that's going to be the way, in a couple of years at least, that we're not going to be able to see search query data, but we're going to see search themes. And I mean, I still have to wrap my head around how to deal with this. But as long as we have this data, I think the way to handle search themes is to look at any that are coming up that you may have not seen before, that have sufficient volume, and then I totally build them out into a search campaign. So I wouldn't keywords from your normal search campaigns and add them to PMAX if that was the question, but I'd try to break out all of the search themes that make sense in any way, shape, or form and run search for them.
Yeah, how I look at search themes is kind of like the custom segments you can build out that are at the end of the day, that is kind of what it is. People that are visiting these kinds of websites, like if you group a bunch of websites together, like that's kind of a search theme. People that have searched these terms in the past, people that have triggered these keywords, like those kinds of things. And I think, and even in your custom segments, you will see that Google, if you're typing in something, Google either gives you the suggestion, and that means that they already have a group that they are thinking about for this specific search term. So that is, for me, that is what the search themes is basically. But I think it's a less optimal solution, of course. Yeah, of course, compared to keywords. And I think this relates to Mark's third question. How to get most of control in PMAX is doing your things outside of PMAX really, really well. I mean, the most control is don't use PMAX. That's just the clear and cut answer. But
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, I have to every week. I'm not going to be able to sleep if I don't at least tell people once a week not to use PMAX. But inside of PMAX, Mark, I think conversion tracking should be like the highest of quality. Landing page content, website content, like SEO is going to be more important for Google Ads than ever, so that Google really, really knows what your website's about, and then your feed, making sure your feed is really, really good.
So I want to add tracking. So it's only, I think getting the most out of PMAX requires you to control the inputs, because you can't control the outputs, right? So you can only control your first party data, your audience signals, whatever, if you like to use them or not, that's another topic for discussion. Your tracking needs to be on point, your feed quality needs to be top-notch, your landing page must be top-notch, everything needs to be top-notch. And your assets, if you're running a full build PMAX, so that also needs to be top-notch. So yeah. By the way, can I just digress for a bit, because you mentioned SEO, and I mean that's been important for DSA all the time, right? So
Agreed.
Just a little thing for everyone on the call. The way to find out what Google thinks about your website is to go to Keyword Planner and then plug in a URL. Find keyword ideas, start with a URL, hit enter, and then see what comes back. Like, most cases, Google will totally understand, well, this is a sneaker store, this is a automotive website, whatever. But sometimes when it just returns gibberish or nothing at all, then something's up and Google doesn't understand what's going on. And you're probably not set up for like an AI-driven future. So in the future, it's maybe already alluding to the next question. In the future, campaigns are going to be a lot more AI-driven. And that means that you have to have your website and your markup language and everything needs to be in great shape so Google can understand what's going on. And otherwise, they can't crawl your website and they can't return the most relevant information in an ad for any particular search. So that's absolutely important.
That was an absolute masterclass.
I don't think so.
No, but I mean, 100%. I absolutely agree there. And going to the next question, because Maria asked indeed, what do you think is the future of paid search practice within teams? What are the opportunities in future paid search? Can't see it as an independent channel anymore. Can't just make a good search ad and because we run both Meta and Google, and I see a PMAX centric future with some demand gen, and hopefully they keep YouTube on top of that. I mean, YouTube has a separate campaign.
Yep.
I see it as how we run Meta nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
You can use a cost cap or not, which is your key ROAS or your TCPA. And then you just make sure that your assets are top notch. And when I say assets for Google, it's not your banners for display and your YouTube videos for PMAX. That doesn't really matter because it's remarketing anyway. Your assets for Google are, as you mentioned, it's your website, it's your feed, it's the headlines you provide. That I think that's how I see it moving forward, and then just using that in as smart as possible.
Yeah. So you're looking at it from like a tactical point of view? Sort of
tactical or technical?
Well, I guess. I mean, I have more a philosophical answer, I think. So the way I see it going forward is, of course, I agree with everything you said. But I think there's great opportunity in paid search, and it's a great time to be in paid search, even though I'm bitching about PMAX and Google and the reps all the time, and I make funny memes and stuff. I think it's a great time to be a Google Ads expert, to be honest with you. The reason I say is because I see so many accounts that are just pure PMAX, and PMAX is just brand in disguise in most cases because people don't know what to do with it.
Yep.
They don't know what to do with it. And Google is pushing all these automated solutions down our throats. So the way you bring value is, first of all, by understanding what Google is trying to achieve with that. Secondly, by helping your clients get the best out of those solutions, all the while spending the least amount possible, I think. And then thirdly, I think it's a much more agile future. So I see small agency teams pulling a lot above their weight, to be honest with you.
Yes.
Like people who really know what they're doing. I mean, I'm consulting with a big German agency group, and everything I've seen so far is just utter horse crap, for real. And I totally see like a 5 to 10 person agency handling social media buying, Google Ads, creative, well above the level that I'm seeing right now. And that is only been made possible by AI. And now we all agree that it's not as far as long as we wish it would be, or as some fear it would at this point, but it's going to get there. And that's an opportunity for small agile teams to really like put a dent in the whole system.
100%.
Absolutely.
100%. And on that note, I think if I can build a bit on that, because I think you're absolutely right. And I think that people in the PPC space, people in the digital marketing space in general, will become a lot more consultants that show companies how to set themselves up for the most success with AI. and then unleash it basically. Instead of, we're not going to be button pushers anymore. Those days are over. Like they are coming.
for sure.
I mean, not over yet, but they're coming to an end really, really quickly. Like the days where we used to like do the like all of like the SCAGs and everything, and then all the keywords, like that's going to be over really soon. But if you know what you are doing and you know how to set up companies for success with Google and with Facebook, then you're going to have a long career in digital marketing because people live online more and more every day. Who thought this Friday was going to be such an interesting when we jumped on? Like, love it. Let me see what we got here. Okay, so this is the follow-up from Mohammed. So campaigns only are simple search campaigns. And from the 18th of March till 10th of April, ROI is 13%. 13? That's probably 130 or not sure.
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so. Or 13 over, not sure. But from 10 April to, or 13x probably. But from 10 April to 18 April, the CTR is 12%, but ROI is 3%. Okay, so Mohammed, first thing I think you need to look at is, so I'm just going to take this quickly, is I think what you need to look at is time to conversion. Like 10th of April till 18th of April, like people take some time to convert on fashion. So maybe it's just people that are, it's really, really soon. Also look at conversion. So ROAS by time, which is conversion value by time divided by cost, not conversion value by time divided by cost. And that's what I think. If you're having great ROI on a search campaign of over a month and then 1 week it's bad, I mean, I wouldn't panic unless there's like a very big seasonal shift. Don't panic, I would say.
Yeah. Then the other thing I would say is make sure that maybe so as I take it, it went stellar like out the gate, and then it sort of took a nosedive. So what's with tracking? Is that still working? Did the client make like a giant change to the website, or did the checkout break for whatever reason? Can people pay at all? Like we don't know. Can only like every third or fourth payment goes through? Like so that's a whole lot of unknowns right there. But I would, if the campaign appears to be doing fine, if the search terms are okay, then I would look at reasons outside of the ad account for sure.
Agreed. Yep. Question from Vladimir. When a PMAX campaign is spending 20% on YouTube and display, does this mean that the search and shopping real estate is used up and the algorithm is diverting the budget in order to spend the daily budget?
I don't know. That's an interesting question. From experience, if you set up a full build PMAX, then it will totally go all over the place, and then will, it will push into display, it'll push into video. Eventually, though, depending on the target you set, so if you put a TROAS, then if it's like a reasonably high enough TROAS, then it'll be forced to go into shopping, remarketing a little bit of search. So usually display and video won't play as big of a factor. So if like a reasonable amount of your budget goes into those channels, I'd assume that either your ROAS is set very low, so you give Google essentially permission to spend the budget. Yeah, so that'd be my idea. I'm not aware of a mechanism where it like deliberately goes after video or display, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at the end of the day.
What I think might be the case, but Vladimir, let us know in the chat, is are there many or big other sources of traffic that go to the website that PMAX can then heavily remarket? Because when I see 20+% on YouTube and display, that Google is not, not Google, PMAX is not going up the funnel. It is very, very heavy bottom of funnel. So that is remarketing. And I really don't think for the real estate in search and shopping to be sold out, unless you are in a very, very, very tiny market, that's probably not going to be the case. Or you have the biggest budget I've ever seen, which then kudos. But I think if it's heavy on YouTube and display, that is probably remarketing. So that's probably PMAX going after your existing customers, going after people that come from Meta, people that come from organic, people that come from TikTok, whatever. So I think this is where you need to look at. And if it's going there too heavy, I would again advise to either look at feed only or just leave PMAX as is altogether. Question from Vids. Hello, I'm a newbie. Nice to have you here for the first time then, Vids. What's your view on excluding branded terms from shopping and feed only PMAX? I generally want to separate them since they perform so differently, but worried that you can lose visibility right at the top of the SERP if excluded from shopping.
Okay. So my point of view is that in almost all cases, I exclude brand from PMAX and also exclude it from shopping. And the reason that is exactly the reason that you mentioned. It's that brand and non-brand perform very differently. So the non-brand shopping and the PMAX where the brand is excluded, they serve a very specific purpose. So not so much with PMAX, but with the unbranded shopping for sure. And that purpose is to drive new qualified cold traffic to your website. And now you can absolutely set up a branded standard shopping, for instance, or a brand campaign, or you can even trick standard shopping into doing fake remarketing, and capture the people that way. But I would, in almost any cases, exclude brand from those campaigns. Absolutely. Otherwise, it's never going to scale. Have you ever tried scaling a PMAX that's brand heavy, like 80% brand, and it just drives up the spend and nothing happens to your bottom line. And
yes,
essentially you're overpaying for brand and you're burning money that's better spent elsewhere.
Yes, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I think it's first of all, it is a not philosophical, but like strategic question, like a bird's eye view question. Like, okay, why do you want your brand out of there? Why do you not want your brand in those campaigns? Why maybe would you want your brand in those campaigns? Like that's the first question. And I think most of the time the answer is I don't want it in there. And if you still want to protect your brand in shopping, then you set up a branded shopping campaign, just as Boris mentioned. Good one. Another question from Lee Jun. What is the importance of setting up search campaigns for e-commerce clients? That's a good question.
Maybe you want to start for a change?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna first, when we talk about e-commerce clients, we first need to differentiate between multi-brand stores that sell other people's brands, and D2C brands. For multi-brand stores, why could a search campaign be important is that people are looking for a certain brand, but they have not yet decided which product, which SKU of the brand they want to buy. And so you want to send them to a category page and not to a product page. So this is where search could come in handy for your multi-brand store, I would say. This is usually how we run search for multi-brand stores, is to category pages with DSA or keywords. You want to pick up on that?
Oh, just go on. I'll have something to say about that later.
Okay, cool. I just have one more thing for D2C brands. Google search can be a really good additional source of quality traffic if you send them to advertorial or blog pages. So if people are looking for a product and they don't click on your like a specific product, and they don't click on your shopping ad, but they do click on your search ad, that something seems off there. And I actually wouldn't like them to click on my search ad because search clicks are usually more expensive than shopping clicks, in my experience. But what is a good source of traffic is people that are looking, that are so they are not yet solution aware or your solution aware, but they are problem aware. And so they are Googling their problem. For example, if you sell, we're always going back to the same examples. You already know what I'm going to say. Let's say you sell
something about shampoo.
It was actually going to be about shampoo.
How did I know that?
People that are here for the 5th time, they're like, dude, what is up with this guy and his shampoo?
This is getting so old now.
Yeah. But I'm still going to use the example. Let's say you sell a certain kind of shampoo, but people are looking, for example, for what to do with itchy scalp, what to do with and then sending them to an advertorial page instead of straight to they're not going to buy on the first click probably, but you do get an influx of high quality traffic. They spend quite some time on your page if they read your blog, and then you can remarket them through Meta, through YouTube, to whatever. That's my take on search for e-commerce clients.
Yeah. So I agree with everything you said. So I think for D2C, search isn't the first option I would go to if I was setting up a new account, but I'd probably start with like some sort of tiered shopping structure and then a brand maybe. Now for multi-brand stores, this is super interesting because you mentioned the text ads and the category pages and stuff like that. And you used to be able to do that with ad customizers, but that was sort of a super big pain in the ass if we're being honest, right? Setting up that information in your Google Ads account and stuff like that, and then having it read from sort of a sheet and stuff like that. But there's actually a great solution from Channable that lets you do this. So imagine you're a multi-brand store, and imagine you're selling, I don't even know the brands, but you're selling L'Oreal shampoo and some other brand. And then you're selling hair dryers, for instance. And you have all this information like neatly stored in your Google Shopping feed, as you would. And then you could set up Channable, and that would read from the feed, and you could pull in variables into your text ads depending on what people search for. So you could price, availability, brands, stuff like that, other attributes that you have in the store, and you can have super customized search ads that perform very well. I've done this a couple of times with fashion stores, multi-brand stores, as you like to call them. And it always works great. Only downside is it comes with a bit of a price tag, but like if you're spending upwards of like 150, 200K a month, then what's another 1K, right?
Yeah, honestly, I would even go sooner. Like
sure.
A good feed management tool is so important. And Channable, we use others for other clients because they already had it or because they don't want to spend the money. But Channable is, I mean, I also like Data Feed Watch, but Channable is the best.
I always use Channable if I get the chance. Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah.
Good one. No, absolutely. Yeah, I think and it is a great feature. We use it for 2 of our clients now, if I'm not mistaken. Data Feed Watch is also running their own version of this now, but yeah, the one from Channable is really, really good.
All right. I think we skipped over a question from Eldar. I'll just read it out.
Sorry, Eldar.
It's all good. So question goes, do you know if there's a way to lower channel overlap between Facebook
I'm not there yet even.
Huh?
I'm not there yet. No worries, it's fine. We can take
really,
it now.
that was at 3:14 already, so it's not like a new question.
Oh, then I missed it.
Yeah. So channel overlap between Facebook and Google, an average 55 to 60% of conversions come from customers who already interacted with the Facebook ad. We're using Triple Whale for tracking. If that means anything to you, it does. We're using search, standard shopping, PMax. Basically, how can I make sure my campaigns aim more for new customers instead of remarketing? Just for reference, on the same client but different market, the overlap is 35 to 40%.
Got it. You mind if I take a first go at this, because this is something that we deal with a lot, and it's of my.
Yeah, I personally don't run Facebook ads, but obviously I have clients that are running paid social through other agencies, so we have to liaise with these people as well, and look at numbers. But I think you're much better qualified to answer this question.
I appreciate that. Eldar, okay, first of all, I'm going to assume, since you say there's so much Facebook, I'm going to assume that it is a brand, it is a D2C brand, because multi-brand stores are usually not Facebook heavy. So it really depends on what level of scale you are at, but I would say people seeing a Facebook ad before going to Google is a very normal flow of events. Like, it is the funnel. It is literally the funnel. Like, your meta is your top of funnel, middle of funnel, depending on how you set it up. And then your Google is your middle of funnel, bottom of funnel, depending on how you set that up. Now, given your question, because I do understand the issue, and one of the metrics that I really, really like, and I got to give credit where credit is due, it's Zach put me up to it.
Oh,
So he told me about it, and I've checked it out for the past 2 days, and it's really, really interesting. Um, percentage of new visits. So out
yeah.
of your website visits, how many people are new? Really, really good metric. What I would say is, depending on your level of scale, first of all, in your meta ad account, set up a campaign that not only excludes your customers. So I hope you're already doing that, like excluding your existing customers, but then also exclude your website visitors. So now Meta has to go after people that haven't been to your website in the last 30 days or whatever and haven't bought from you yet. So that is a bunch of new people coming into the funnel. And then secondly is for D2C brands, we don't use PMAX. We use standard shopping, brand excluded, on a low T ROAS strategy or a max click sometimes. So you get cold search terms. Like going back to the shampoo example, if you're a shampoo brand, just like best shampoo for this blue like specific like searches that don't have to are not related to your brand.
Yeah.
And then you just be wary of how much remarketing you do. Don't do too much remarketing. It often is a lot of digital marketers think remarketing is important because then they can see that they did well. Like, oh, look, I have a 10 ROAS. But often it's attribution, not actually incremental revenue that you are generating with remarketing. Those are the first things that come to mind. I don't know, Boris, that was kind of a rant. Like, what do you think about that?
I think exactly that. So if I was gonna say it, it appears to me that it's only natural. Like if you're so assuming you're sending lots of cold traffic from Facebook, first of all, yes, there's always going to be overlap in the audience. And secondly, if you're using PMAX, then of course that's going to scoop up all the conversions anyway. So
Yep.
it just depends on how you set it up, or if if you can, then I would totally test a standard shopping. Like if you're testing standard shopping, you just got to turn off all the PMAX, otherwise it doesn't make any sense. I have a funny story about that, by the way. I don't know if I can digress, but
Yeah, go for it.
So I've taken a client off of PMAX, I think 45 days ago. I set up a standard shopping. So I set up a non-branded and a branded standard shopping. I've paused PMAX the very same day, and PMAX has, even though it's been paused, has attributed sales to itself for another 20 days.
No way.
It just hogs up all the conversions. It doesn't care. Hey, this person has seen a video 100 days ago. Whatever.
That's
Of course, like
so interesting.
that's outside of attribution. But yeah, I mean, person has seen a video 60 days ago, has converted through another channel. PMAX is paused. PMAX doesn't care. PMAX attributes to itself.
That's so interesting.
Do yourself a favor and look in your accounts. Like it is incredible. It's an attribution machine.
That's what they should have called it. Attribution max, not PMax. That's incredible. You should really write a LinkedIn post about that because that's super interesting.
I will. Yes. I shared it first, but you'll read something about that very soon.
Cool. Okay, cool, nice. I really like that question actually. Question from Faustine. When I run my broken link keys, I see we're kind of running short on time and we still have quite a bunch of questions. So I guess we'll have to go a bit rapid fire, I would say.
Yeah, that's okay.
Faustine says, when I run my broken link checker Google Ads script and other scripts, the result says failed with the screenshot error attached. You want to take this one? I think you're a bit better with scripts, to be honest.
I have no idea. I'm just looking at the error message. AdWords app campaigns get all is not a function at main, blah, blah. I have no idea what that means.
Me neither. Austin, I would say make sure that there's no like wrong space or something in your script that's somewhere snuck in that you're now using in all your accounts. To be fair, to be honest, like what I do if my script is not working, I put it in ChatGPT. I say, what's wrong with this? Like, what's the error? And then it just spits out like what it thinks it is. It's not always right, but it does help. Yeah.
I mean, I'm using the broken link checker. Depends where you get it from. Like if you do it from there's like a sort of new flow when setting up scripts where there's predefined scripts that you can load directly in the interface. I think that one should work fine. Like if you got yours somewhere from the internet or from like a shared sheet somewhere, then it might be that other people messed with it and then it doesn't execute properly. But if you set it up directly in the account and just replace the spreadsheet, then it should, by all accounts, it should be working.
Question from Aditya. Hello, everyone. Second time here, and probably will bookmark the link. Aditya, we have a Slack group. Send me a message on LinkedIn, and I will add you. It's not a really active Slack group. Like it's not high maintenance. It's just to keep you informed on these sessions.
Yeah.
My topic for discussion is to understand if there is any way to restrict PMAX into being a top of funnel type campaign. I feel it is a whole funnel type campaign with high skewness toward lower funnel conversions. Any views on this?
So it's always been sold as like a full funnel solution, but now even Google has backtracked on that. Recently, as of a couple, like 2 or 3 months ago, I saw Ginny, I think, actually post something on Twitter about that. So I can absolutely confirm, like, Performance Max is a campaign type that is skewed towards middle and bottom of funnel because it wants to make itself look good in the interface. So are there any ways to sort of force it to be a top of funnel? Yeah. I mean, you can exclude brand. You can set up Performance Max without the shopping feed. And that's absolutely gonna take some of those. So depending on if you're an e-commerce or a lead gen, of course, if you're a lead gen, you're not gonna have a shopping feed. But those are the two tactics I can think of where you can force it to go more top of funnel. And then basic rule of thumb, I want to say, lower the TROAS to something that's comfortable for you. That's going to make it spend more on video and display. And if you set a higher TROAS, then obviously it's going to have to go after those conversions lower down the funnel. So I think that's the basic mechanic I would keep in mind when setting up PMX for top of funnel.
Yeah, I think Aditya, what you need to keep in mind is Google is by definition, except for YouTube, Google is by definition not top of funnel. It is middle and bottom of funnel, and PMax is like the epitome of the ultimate machine of Google when it comes to conversions. And to be fair, like PMax, the technology behind PMax, it is really, really good at hunting down conversions. The problem is that by definition, a technology that is good at hunting down conversions is not top of funnel because they are too far away from a conversion to find these people. I think in my experience, even the social style PMAX, as I've seen it been referred to, is not top of funnel unless you force a lot of spend in it. And then you'll also get a really high frequency. Like people are going to see a lot of your ads, especially if they've been to your website. And I don't know if that's what you want to go with. So if you want to go top of funnel, go with Meta or YouTube, I would say. Or Demand Gen, we haven't tested a lot with it, but could be an option too.
How strictly do you keep products per PMAX campaign? Do you have the same products in multiple PMAXs, or do you strictly avoid that? Have you ever created a new product ID of the best performance in Merchant Center and test different pictures or titles?
Interesting. Couple of questions in one. Good question, Alex. So I don't use the point in having the same product in multiple campaigns. It will just bicker to get the conversion, and they will just show turn by turn what if your settings are the same, and I just don't see the value in that. So no, I don't have the same product in multiple campaigns. Have you ever created a new product ID of the best performer in Merchant Center? No, I have not. I wouldn't mess personally with the product ID. We have, of course, tested different pictures and titles, and there is actually a kind of botched way to test it. Is, for example, if you go week over week, and then like, for example, 1 week you do one image, and then the other week you do the other, and then you append the GM parameter of like landing, for example, add variation A and then add variation B, and then in analytics you check the difference. Now, to be fair, it's kind of past its date because people will need multiple touch points and everything, so it's not really the best way to do it anymore, but that's how we used to do it. That's just my thoughts on these questions. Boris, I don't know what you think.
I have nothing to add, and we're running out of time, so I think we should sort of move on, I guess.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
You want to do rapid fire?
Display versus demand gen, which one works better?
None.
For what purpose? I think display is riddled with bots and spam, so you need to know how to mitigate that. But of course, you can get much more reach for the same budget versus demand gen, which is Google owned and operated. And so the placements by definition are much more quality. So that's the main difference. So it depends on what you need it for.
Doesn't demand gen also show on display, or is it only Google owned properties?
Google owned.
Okay, interesting. Cool. So yeah, then if I had to choose, I would go with demand gen.
What about another demand gen question? What about demand gen? Which is best, PMax campaign or demand gen for both lead gen business and e-commerce business?
PMax campaign.
Same answer. So I've tested demand gen for lead gen with good success. I've tested Performance Max for lead gen with not so good success. So for lead gen, I would say demand gen works better. So if it's only the choice between those two campaign types, then I would say demand gen for lead gen and PMax for e-commerce.
Yep, agreed. And then the follow-up question is standard shopping versus PMax shopping. Standard shopping.
Standard shopping. I'm putting so many clients back to standard shopping, and it works much better.
It works like magic.
It scales better. You see as soon as you ramp up the spend, you see it usually in the back end if the orders are coming in. Whereas with PMax, it might just look good in the interface and nothing ever happens order-wise. So yeah, I think standard shopping is much better.
Yeah. Do you have like a couple of minutes to go over time?
I do have. I've got nothing planned after this. It's like it's Friday. This is the last thing I always do on a Friday before I just shut down my laptop and go outside and squat or hop on the rower or something.
That's awesome. Let's keep it on for another couple of minutes then. If you already have a well-organized Google Ads and you want to launch Meta Ads, what is needed and what would be the key differences? I don't think we're going to be able to go into that one now on these minutes because it's such a different channel.
Just very quickly, so the Google search or Google Ads is a demand capture channel. So people go on Google to type in a very specific problem. They usually want a solution. So the classical thing to say now would be buy shampoo for itching scalp. So whereas someone on Meta is not necessarily looking for anything in particular, right? They're just there to be entertained, and you show them ads based on their preferences. Sometimes you don't even have specific targeting. You just let the creative do the targeting. So Meta, as opposed to Google Ads, is a demand creation machine. I want to say those are the main differences, and much more than on Google. You're gonna have to have great creative on Meta in order for people to stop the scroll. Thumb stopper, that's what they call it, and to be interested, you're gonna have to have great creative, great hooks, and a great offer and a great landing page. Now, all of that is important for Google Ads as well, but those are the main differences.
Yep, agreed. I think for Meta, the phase where the consumer is in is different. On Meta, you try to hit consumers that are problem unaware. So they don't know they have a problem, or they feel they have a problem, but they can't put their finger on it. They know they have a problem, but they don't know there's a solution, or they know there must be a solution, but they don't know your solution. That's the people you try to hit. And then with Google, it's more like, it's always people, they know there's a solution because they're searching for it. Usually, I would say. Oh, it could be also people that know they have a problem, but don't know there's a solution. Either way, it's the very first part. People that are problem unaware are the people you can reach on Meta that you can't reach on Google, except for YouTube.
Yep.
Mark says, when I look at customer journey, I see that my customers take 3.6 days to convert. What things I should do here?
It's not so much things that you should do, but it's just something that you need to be aware of. Because if they don't typically convert within that same session, that has implications on the way you analyze your account and on the way you should optimize your account. So if they on average convert within the week, then if I do changes now, then I'm only going to see the results in the account in a week from now, tops. If they convert within 30 or 60 days, then that's a whole different ballgame, right? So that's the main thing I would keep in mind in that scenario. Don't look at the last days. Like if it takes 3.6 days for them to convert, then don't look at the last 4 days in your account, because what's the point?
Exactly, 100%. Did says, thanks, I agree with you. I ask because a client who checks their ad positions daily, I know, doesn't fun. She says, I know, with 3 exclamation marks, doesn't see their product ads for brand terms anymore. Yeah, that's just educate the client, I would say.
Yeah,
that's not the way to go.
For sure.
Eldar says, damn, I knew PMAX is a conversion hawk, but taking credit even after being paused is LOL. I always make sure to exclude brand from PMAX. Thanks for the advice. You're welcome.
By the way, I agree with myself as well.
Last one. Do you think that Google artificially increases non-PMAX campaign CPCs in auctions so that we are all pushed toward using PMAX?
I don't know. So my conspiracy tinfoil head wearing sort of Boris is saying absolutely yes. So it might be well a function of ad rank, right? Whereas I think in the back end, Google may well shake the cushions in a way that a search campaign would have a lower ad rank. Thus, you would have to bid higher in order to even make the auction. And then subsequently, of course, your CPC is going to be higher than when you're maybe running PMAX. But we don't know that. But yeah, it's a thought that has crossed my mind for sure.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%. It's ad rank. Ad rank is basically Google's alibi for putting whatever they want in there. Like, we have no idea what ad rank is. So might as well be. I have one more. Sorry, that was a direct message that I missed. If you are cool taking it. My question is, which bidding strategy to apply in case there are only 10 conversions per month? How can micro conversions help scale the account?
So if there's less than, so Google will tell you that you can absolutely use smart bidding even though you don't have any conversions. So that would be for new accounts or for new campaigns. You should be running smart bidding. I've tried that, but usually the most educated advice I can give you is if you have little to no conversions, then maybe run a max clicks or a MCPC and see if you can get conversions. And then after you've past that threshold of 30 conversions in the past 30 days, then switch to a smart bidding strategy. And yes, if there's a lack of data, then you can absolutely use micro conversions. So that would be in e-commerce and viewed product page or an add to cart, begin checkout, whatever, to kick the thing a little bit more into gear. Yeah, sure.
Agreed.
You can do that.
I would say though is we don't want to send the algorithm off into the wrong direction, because, for example, add to cart, we know, or let's say initiate checkout, which is even one step further. We know that on average, only 3 to 4 out of 10 people actually finish a checkout on the first time, and sometimes people never come back. So what I would say is, if you use micro conversions, I would personally go with a conversion value-based strategy and then give diminished values to the micro conversions. And I think we spoke about this last week or 2 weeks ago with the lead gen.
Nick just mentioned in the chat as well, micro conversions should be correlated with purchases. So yeah, absolutely agree. A fraction of the perceived or calculated conversion value that would come from an add to cart or from a viewed product page or whatever.
Yeah. Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I think too. Okay, guys, that was the last question for today. I thought this was a really great session. We love to have you here every Friday. So I'm dropping our Slack link into the group meeting chat now. If you want to join the Slack, again, it's not high maintenance. It's just to keep you guys posted on our plans. Yeah. We'll also be having on some more guests, I believe, in the future. So if you want to stay posted on that, just click the link that I just dropped in the meeting chat and you'll be invited to our Slack channel.
Cool. All right. That's it from today.
Yeah. exactly. Awesome. Boris, thanks so much for your time. Really enjoyed it.
Thanks, Michael. As always, great chatting
As
with you.
always. Yeah, have a lovely weekend, man.
All right, you too. Bye.
Bye.